it's Angela here from Yard to Table. So I've got some awesome news for you guys. I have been working on a couple of things to be able to give you more content of what I'm doing, and also to be able to try and be as self-sufficient as possible. So I was on a bunch of waiting lists for the last 2 years for a community garden spot, and I finally snagged one. So I'm here at the Bethel Church. I'm not part of the church, but they were looking for people on Facebook to try and get someone, you know, some interest in their garden beds. So let me show you what I'm going to be working with this year. So this bed is about 3 feet wide, and I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 8 to 10 feet long. So right now it's got basically nothing growing in it. I've got some weeds growing, which is fine. I'll just take those out. But this is the state of the bed right now. I am going to try and get the owners, because they had 4 beds that were actually available. So I've snagged one, and they just wanted to see if there's any more interest for any other beds. So this is what I'm working with. So nice clean slate. Now this is growing. It looks like it's overwintered, and the neighboring side has got a bunch of beautiful kale that's about to bolt. So, and they've got some chives looking in there, and it looks like the last bed is got stuff growing in it as well. But I want to say this looks like a broccoli. I don't know. So if any of you guys have any idea what this is, I actually thought it was maybe Brussels sprouts because of these little nubs. But now that I'm looking at the center, it looks like maybe it might be a broccoli. I don't know. But anyways, I'm going to leave this guy in here and we'll see what we come up with. But yeah, this, I don't know. This is going to go, I've already pulled out these ones. Yeah, see, these were Brussels sprouts for sure. That really never had anything going for them. So the other thing that I have in the works is a local preschool has actually asked me to help them with their gardens. So I'm going to be growing some great stuff for them. I'm going to make sure there's lots of edibles for the kids because it's going to be right beside their play area. I'm at the second location, and this is actually a 3-acre farm, and right behind me there's a bunch of pear trees, but out back there's a huge veggie garden. So this is the first year for it. So I've got someone that wants me to help them, you know, get the garden started, get stuff growing. So we've got lots of awesome plans there, and I've got a row back there, so let me take you on the tour. I wanted to show you this area because it's completely brand new. So we're going to be approaching it with the Charles Downing method, and we're doing no dig. Now this was tilled, which is fine, but what we're going to do now is just going to put cardboard on top, and we're going to put compost on top of that. And basically the method is I'll show you guys kind of the outline of it and what our plans are for it. So this area, I'm not sure what the measurement is. I think it's 20 by 20-ish, but we're gonna have 4-foot section beds running this way with a main path going down this way. So it's very, very early, and the next step is basically compost with the cardboard. And so we're going to be growing lots of stuff in here. So as the season progresses, I'll show you guys what's going on. This is a cool opportunity for me to be able to take another garden from scratch, utilize everything that I've learned and implement it into here. And a friend of mine has asked me for my help, which I am more than happy to help her out. So I'll be taking you guys on the journey of this garden, which is garden number 2, along with me for the rest of the season. So if you guys have any suggestions or tips along the way, please leave them in the comments below. And next, I'm going to show you guys my backyard and what the plans are in there, because that's also a brand new garden that I just established this year. So I'll show you what progress I've made so far and take you along the journey there. We are back in my backyard after running around the city showing you all of my garden spots. So I just wanted to show you my garden, what I'm working with, what my plans are with each section, what I have planted so far, my successes, my complete epic fails. So let's get started. Right here is my patio. Now I've got these 2 on either side, and I've never been able to successfully grow anything in them. And I don't know if it's been a drainage issue. So this year I got 5-gallon just bags, just like that, to fit inside of here. And I planted some mountain spinach, orach, I think is how you pronounce it, O-R-A-C-H. So I've planted that in here, and I forget what I planted on the other side, but I've planted stuff in here, so hopefully something will grow. Now, I've already planted my potatoes. So here I've got my Bellarita or Bellanita. Oh, Bellanita fingerlings. And I've got some Innovator, and then I have another mix that I got in a box, and there's a purple one, a red one, and some other fun stuff. Now, in these buckets that aren't labeled, I put in, I direct sowed fennel and rutabaga, and this is all that's happening. So I've just got these little guys. Sorry about the lawnmower, the neighbor's cutting the grass, so hopefully you guys can still hear me. But there's like these little ones that have grown, and over here to this next one, I've got this little patch that grew and that little patch, so I'm gonna have to go and thin them out. And this is my most successful one. So this basically is the only row, and I don't know if it's rutabaga or fennel. I think it's rutabaga, but who knows, honestly. That's growing. So that's the only success I've had with that, and I have no idea what I did wrong or what I did right, but if any of you guys have any suggestions, I'm very much open to them. So these guys are green stalks, and I've got two other ones. Now the green one I got this year. They were 25% off on St. Patrick's Day, plus I got another $10 off with a coupon code. And I think these things are fantastic. This is the original one that I got last year. And I was actually growing peas and beans and little Paris Market carrots, which get to about golf ball size, in the house in this. Now, I did have a few times that I overwatered it, and there is a spout right there that you can see that takes water once all this is full and takes it away. There is also another stopper that you can actually put instead of this, but I found I actually flooded the floor a few times, so unless you're really precise with watering, I wouldn't recommend it, but for outside it's fantastic. So I'll just show you what I've planted in here. So this whole first row is blue bachelor buttons, or that's what they're supposed to be. This whole row minus one pocket, I've got parsley, then I've got chives, then another giant parsley, then I've got sage, and then I've got a mix. So I've got some strawberry mint, I've got apple mint, I've got some oregano, I've got some lavage, lemon balm, rosemary, tarragon. This is the French tarragon. I've got bay, which I'm really excited. I've never grown this before. Now my sage, this sage is looking a little worse for wear. We got down to -2 last night, and the one thing that I would recommend when you're buying these is just at the same time, do yourself a favor and just purchase the fleece cover that for frost that goes over top of these. I didn't, and a couple of my plants, they're not happy, but they could look better. Like this mint has a bit of frost damage on it. Like I said, it's not dying, but it's also not happy. So like, and it's also got this yellowing or blanching down here. That's from frost damage. This one next door, like, I'm just gonna pinch that leaf off. But this also, like, that's not a good sign. So I did order it again. I've got some oregano here. I did order it, so I'm just waiting for it to come in the mail. Those are the plans that I have for the deck, or for this like patio section. I'm gonna take you over to my other beds. Some are under construction, some are already ready to go. So I'll show you what my plans are for each one. I didn't have the budget to fill up all of these with compost 100%. So what I actually did was I used less expensive soil to fill it up halfway, so the bottom half of these beds. And what I did was I put cardboard on top, and then this top section I have with really great compost. So I was actually short when I ordered it. So this bed is just going to be filled up this week with the rest of the soil, and then all of the beds are completely done. So this one is going to be my onion and leek section. And I've got deer netting over everything because the deer are horrible in this area. So hopefully this will deter them enough to stay out. Now, as you walk towards the other end of the yard, I've got this bed down here on the bottom. As you're walking from my onion bed over to the other side, this is another bed that I've got here. And this one I've planted kohlrabi. So I've got green on this side, and then I've got purple on this side. And as you can see, they're coming up so nicely. And I really like to baby my plants. So yes, I move little pieces of sticks. I don't have like 100% germination, like you can see the gaps, but I'm fine with it. So they're coming up so nicely here. And again, I've got deer netting over here. So my second crop I'm planning to do is a bunch of like sunflowers and marigolds. And this is more of like the kids' garden that I'm gonna have once all of these kohlrabi are able to be harvested. Our house is built on the side of a mountain. So my backyard actually goes uphill. Got all the vegetable gardens basically spread throughout the backyard. And that's just what we had to do when we had to buy this place, is just to kind of do what we can to make it work. So this is one of the largest garden areas, and it's still kind of sloped, but we had to put raised beds in there just so we had to make it work somehow, because everything is so sloped that we would have just lost everything and it would have all been washed out. So let me show you my favorite part of the backyard. I've got these two 10-gallon buckets that don't have anything, and these are just the same material buckets that I have down at the bottom. So these have nothing in them, but I'm planning on putting peanuts in them. I've never grown peanuts before, but hopefully they'll do something. And these are my radish. So this is called an Easter blend. It's ready to harvest in 28 days. And then this whole section is the Spanish radish. Now we have had a couple of nights, like last night, where it got to -2. So I just had to cover everything, and I don't have a bug mesh. So I've got to get that, but just for the time being, I've put this fleece over top just to protect all of the brassicas from being eaten by caterpillars or birds or anything else that wants to eat them. And then I've got a couple of that radish, a couple of rows of that radish under the cover as well. Up along there, I've done peas. So I've got this cattle paneling here, and it's gonna grow up all of this paneling. And again, I've got this deer fencing along the whole perimeter just to keep the deer from walking from those woods into here and basically destroying it. So I've picked up these little bamboo twigs. It was $2.99 for one piece. So I just cut them in half and buried them. So I've got peas up along an L shape over here. And then over on the other side, I had this entire bed full of carrots, and not a single one came up. In this layer, I've put from this side all the way to this side, I've put purple peas, or purple, what is this? Purple potted peas. So that's what's in this section. So over the next couple of days, I'm gonna take string and weave it back and forth, and then that's what's gonna come up. But I think this crack in the soil is a good sign that the peas are gonna have started to germinate and started pushing through. I want to try and grow carrots all the way down here, so hopefully I'll be able to get something growing. But the other thing that I'm having issues with is I thought this mulch would have been a good idea to have in this main area. It's like the worst thing that I could have ever come up with, because this is actually still sloped. You can't really tell, or maybe you can tell at the end, but because as I walk, it comes from here and it just pushes all the way to the bottom, and where these big chunks, they always end up in there. So like if the kids come by, if the dogs come by, if I come by, I'm constantly kicking this wood chip in there. So I'm just going to this week just rake all this stuff up. So I'm only left with this, and I'm getting rid of all of this, and I'm just gonna pitch it up the hill. I thought it would be a great idea to just, you know, have something nice to walk on, but it's causing me so many issues, especially where the grass meets the wood chip. It's just coming up all onto here. So I'm constantly raking this up and piling it back where it's supposed to go, and it's just not even worth the hassle anymore. So I'm just gonna pitch that, and I'm gonna take you up to the next section. Right here, this is all gonna be winter squashes, and I'm just gonna let them trellis down. So I'm okay with that. Now, to harvest them, I don't let the kids climb on this section. They know better. And I'm hoping that with all this shrubbery, that'll prevent them from basically rolling down the hill. So we're gonna give that a go as an experiment this year. But this is all gonna be winter squash, and then in between that, because I'm gonna be packing them pretty tight, I'm gonna grow corn, and it's just gonna come straight up. And I'm hoping that by the time the corn grows through the deer netting, that the deer won't want to eat them. That's the hope. And if they do, well, then I've learned my lesson. But over to the left of the shed, this is another section where I'm gonna have winter squash as well. Now, one of my goals for the year is to be able to grow enough winter squash to sustain us to at least about February, end of January for next year. So that's the goal. Now, I do have one other section for winter squash to show you. This is the other section for squash. Now, mind you, that last little section is going to be all watermelon. And again, I'm going to let it grow up the hill. And you can see, like, there's tons of flowers. These are just wild flowers. I don't know what kind they are, but they are everywhere. So that whole section is going to be watermelon, because I need to, from what I've learned on YouTube, that for the last 10 days before you pick them, you need to stop watering them so they can concentrate their sugars inside the melon. So that's how they get their own space. And then going here and over, this is again going to be all winter squash. So I've got tons of different squashes, and I've also got my water line up here. Now, right now I've just been using a water bucket, but I think I'm going to end up getting a hose for here, just because I need it for this section, and all that down there. So with it getting so hot, I think that's going to be my best bet. Now this, I cried. So this was a greenhouse, and we had one crazy storm, and the whole thing was leaning like on a 45. So there are a couple of spots where it's just completely broken. So I am going to have to take maybe some string to pull it this way, but you can see like the damage I don't even know how you would repair that. It's like barely hanging on. So this is what it looks like. I just pulled off all the fleece. Now on this side, I've got a lot of brassicas, so I'm gonna have to go, because there's no way that there's gonna be enough space for everything. Or there might be, I don't know, you tell me. There's about maybe 8 to 10 inches in between everything. And I've got some broccoli in here, some cauliflower, some kohlrabi. It's basically a mixture of brassicas, but I have no idea, outside of those two, because I know that's parsley, what any of this stuff is. I have no idea. We're just gonna have to play it by ear. But this section, so this whole section is a mix of lettuce greens and mustard greens, or sorry, lettuce and mustard greens. So although as I have a ton of purple things in here, here is another section that I'm not really sure I'm not really sure what this is. So I've got some celery in here that I really need to transplant out towards the green stalks and the vertical gardens. But this is another thing of brassicas. Now, these were the plants that were basically on death's door. So they were really damaged when I dropped everything. So we'll see if anything comes of it. It looks a lot worse than the other side. And this side looks amazing. So I've already harvested a little bit from these guys. So this is my little chive. This is my arugula that I just need to basically separate. I just did it in the clump just because I needed to do something with it. But this is what each side of the bed looks like. These are just all the lettuce and mustard greens that I've got. But they're a gorgeous shade of purple. And I try and grow as many varieties as I possibly can for the colors. And these are my leeks over here. And then I've got some fennel starting. And it's funny because the fennel that I started in the plugs looks a lot better than the ones that I direct sowed. because they actually came up. So I don't know how people direct sow fennel, but if you guys have any ideas to help me, that would be awesome. So yeah, so these are looking like really sad. And I don't think, and here's the thing, I don't know if the reason that they're this color is because there's not enough sunlight getting through the fleece, or maybe it's just the cold. I actually don't know. And then this is my celery, and it's not happy. I gotta get it in the vertical garden. And then I have no idea what that is. And then I've got some more celery over here. Then I'm gonna transplant. And then this is my artichoke. So it's looking kind of worst for wear. But I've got 2 plants that look really great. And then 2 plants that, not so great. But we'll see, I've never grown them before. That's the backyard tour. Now I'm going to show you one more in a couple of days of the preschool project that I'm doing. And that one I'm really excited about because I basically I've been given the green light to do whatever I want. Thank you so much for spending time with me today on the garden tours, and I can't wait to see you again soon. Bye.